students, in the last class we discussed about these aspects, right? So just let me know if you have any kind of doubts or difficulties with these points before we continue. Hope all of you are clear with all the points.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, students, before we actually continue our discussion of data types, in this session, let us revisit the introduction to algorithm part and get an overview of the entire language. Okay, so before we actually continue, let us first of all have a very high level bird's view, right, of the Python language and all the features that it supports, right? So we need not worry about the details. We'll be studying the details of all the features that we will be seeing in this particular session today later. Okay, so let us just revisit this particular file, right, and see the features of the Python language, right? So till line number 15, right, we had already discussed. So before we move on with line number 16, right, hope all of you are clear with these points from point number 3 till 15. So before we actually continue with our understanding of the overview of the Python language, please let me know if you have any difficulties in these points.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, so line number 16, right? So Python comments, right? So guys, in Python language, comments are using the hash symbol. Okay. And in Python, unlike other languages, there are no multi-line comments, or Python does not support multi-line comments. If you want to have multiple lines commented out, you just put all the lines with, or each individual lines with hash. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Right. The next feature is functions. We'll talk these features in detail later, but this is just an overview of all the basic or the core features of the Python language, right? So functions, as we already know, right, they are used for code reusability. So what do you mean by code reusability?
You can use the same function over and over multiple programs, sir.
Yeah, you can make use of the same code block defined in a named unit, which is a function, right? Whenever and wherever you want, either within the same function, or yes, in fact, it can be used in other programs as well. Okay, so that is the benefit of having functions. Do not worry if you already do not know how to write functions. We will see the syntax and how to write functions, etc., right, later, right? But this is just a kind of introduction or an overview, right? So it is basically for code reusability, right? So what other thing do you think that having functions in a program you will have some kind of benefit apart from code reusability?
Memory management, sir. Once the function is completed, the Python garbage collector removes all the data from the memory.
Yeah, it's kind of more efficient, right, with respect to memory management. Yes, that is also correct. And you can also have a bigger program, right? If you actually write it into different functions, you can make your particular program modular and more readable, right? And your debugging will also be easier, right? Checking for errors, maintaining the program, etc., will also be easier if you have your particular program in a modular fashion. When I say a program in a modular fashion, break up the program into small tasks, each task in its own named unit or functions, right? So that debugging and maintenance is also easier. Also, of course, readability, apart from the other feature that you have said, memory management and code reusability. All right, friends.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Definition, argument, return. We'll discuss about this in detail later, but just for simplicity, right, or just for getting started, I think you guys should be knowing how to define a function at least. How do you define a function, guys, in Python?
Def.
In the keyword
Using the
def.
keyword def.
Def.
Using the keyword def.
Def.
Correct. So this is how you define a function using the keyword def. So you specify def followed by the name of the function, followed by what? After the function name,
Parenthesis.
Parenthesis.
And semicolon.
parenthesis, and then semicolon. After semicolon, write as, what do you write after semicolon in the next line?
Sir, isn't it colon?
I'm sorry. Yeah, thanks for correcting. It is not semicolon. I meant
That's
colon.
colon, sir.
It's colon. Correct. Okay. So after the function name and after the parenthesis, right? You put a colon. After which, what?
The
Body
indentation
of the function.
and the body of the function.
Body of the function.
Yeah, indentation. In the appropriate indented level that you choose, you write the body of the function, which may contain one statement or more than one statement or instructions, right? So generally speaking, you said like body of the function, right? These things are called as code blocks. All right, the body of the function. So whatever you write within the function, whatever you write, say within a if block, right? Whatever you write within a for, etc., right? We'll talk more about if and for later, right? Whatever you put after the colon kind of thing, right, forms the block. Or specifically or in particular, you can say the instructions that go below a function is a function code block. The instructions or the instructions that go below a if statement is a if code block, for code block, while code block, etc. Understanding. So please understand these terminologies, right? Rather than probably saying body of a function, you can put it this way, right? The instructions under a particular function forms the function's code block. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Next, arguments. We'll talk about arguments, etc., with some examples later, right? So what do you mean by an argument? Earlier we had a discussion, right? I think you guys are clear with the differentiation between arguments and parameter, but they can be used interchangeably.
Arguments are variables used inside the function.
Correct. And parameters?
Are used outside the function, sir, or variables.
It's not used inside or outside.
Parameter is the input that's given from outside the function to the function.
Okay, so both arguments and parameters, they can be used interchangeably, right? Depending upon what you say, right? But you can specify arguments to the function, or you may not specify arguments to the function. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, some things, certain things that you need to keep in mind and that we will explore and understand better later are, like, you can also have a default argument. For now, you need not worry if you don't get these concepts exactly or correctly, right? Just remember, in Python, you can have default arguments. That is, even if you don't specify a particular argument, right, and a particular argument is not explicitly set by you, right, you can have a default value for that particular argument. Am I clear with the concept or with the kind of definition for the default argument that I'm trying to say? So even if you don't specify an argument, you can have a default argument or default value for that particular position or the named parameter. So that is default argument. You can have variable arguments. Guess what is variable argument, guys?
The value changes, sir, depends on the users, whatever the user gives.
Depends on whatever the user gives. Okay, it's kind of okay. Not exactly correct. Any other interpretation, guys? What do you mean by variable arguments? Many languages do not kind of support this directly. you come up with an indirect approach. But in Python, we have a facility or a support for variable arguments. This basically means, see, within the parentheses, you can have a kind of notation, right, that supports any number of arguments.
Star ARGS, that is.
Yeah, the notation is star ARGS, you are right. So if you say star ARGS, that actually means that whenever you call that particular program, you can pass in any number of arguments and that will be supported or taken up within the function. So that is variable arguments. Now named arguments. What is this named arguments?
Keyword arguments.
Pardon?
Keyword arguments.
Keyword arguments. It's kind of correct. It's keyword arguments. So what do you exactly mean by that when you say keyword arguments?
We call the function using a key, sir. Name is equal to Saravana and age is equal to 18. So even if you change the order, it will go and allocate the memory correctly in the function.
Okay, change the order of passing the arguments. If you specify it using the name, that is also correct. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so correct. So you are right. So those are called as named arguments, right? So students from biology background and others who are not able to understand these concepts for now, you need not worry. We will look at some examples of these particular concepts later when we talk about functions in detail, right?
Yes, sir.
Another thing to actually keep in mind, right, is return, right? So you write a function, right? You may make use of a statement, right, with a keyword called as return, right? You may make use of return, you may not make use of return. Now, what is the idea behind this return within a function?
It ends the function, sir. If it sees the return, it will return to the where it started, called.
Correct. So when you have a statement called as return, right, within a particular function, when that particular line is executed, right, the return statement, right, will go to the caller, right? So whenever you call a particular function and within the function definition, if you have a return statement, right, when the function execution is over and if you have a return, right, the control will go back to the caller. Okay, so that is the purpose of return, right? Now please keep in mind, right, all Python functions return a value. Okay, all Python functions return a value. Now you may probably ask me, like, if all Python functions return a value, you may have certain functions without a return and still the particular program works correctly. So what does that mean?
It returns none.
It returns none type.
None.
Return none.
It returns none. You are correct, right? So even if functions do not explicitly return something, right? So by default, that means it returns the value none. Okay?
None.
Okay, so just to get this idea, right? It says print hello, right? Now when you say what do you think X will be? You don't have anything, right? So print hello is a direct print built-in function, right? And you're assigning it to X, right? And when you say X, it doesn't say anything, right? Because see, if I do it again like this, getting it? It says none, none. All right. So please keep this in mind, right? That is, even if a particular function do not explicitly return something, right, and your particular program you're writing, you explicitly do not intend to return anything, by default it returns none to the caller. Okay, so that is something about functions that Python supports. So far, so good, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Next, types and variables, guys. Okay, so types and variables, we just got started, right? So we just got started with variables and types, declaration, redeclaration, strongly typed, right? All those things. So we'll continue our discussion after the overview is over. So before that, before proceeding, right? Can I just ask you a simple question just for revision kind of that we have seen in the previous class? Can you distinguish between strongly typed language and dynamically typed language? Or can you compare or differentiate between strong typing and dynamic typing?
Sir?
Yeah, start with strong typing.
Sir, strong typing is a language where you don't need to mention the types while defining your variable.
Is that strong typing?
Sir, that's what I've written. I don't know. I'm not sure.
It's dynamic typing.
Yeah, that is dynamic typing. We understood strong. You have a kind of clue here. Under strongly typed, we have a kind of clue. We saw this with an example. Come on, guys. Forgot? Anybody?
Sir, we can't concatenate string and integers, sir.
Okay, so if you have that understanding, if you cannot concatenate string and integer, right? How can you define a strongly typed thing or a strongly typed language? So in a strongly typed language, you say that you cannot concatenate a string and an integer. So that means what? Python is strongly typed. So how do you formally put it as a definition?
Or maybe in strongly typed languages, the variables are always the data type that is given to them. They can't change.
Yeah, it is right. It is right. The variables having a particular type, it cannot be changed. So a particular variable having a particular type, you can say something like it is bound to that particular type. Yes, you are right. Another
Sir,
interpretation. Another
so
interpretation.
C and C++ are strongly typed, sir.
Okay.
Is that correct, sir?
C and C++ are strongly typed. You can just try to concatenate some unrelated types and see if it works.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So kind of I have kind of said the answer. Now you can be probably more specific and come up with your interpretation. Somebody said like, okay, variables are bound to the types, right? So that is correct interpretation, right? It is bound to that particular type. Okay. Now what is the other interpretation for strongly typed language? Python is, yeah?
Yes, last class we saw that strongly typed and dynamically typed are correlated. So maybe
Yeah, they are correlated, correct?
so strongly typed is we don't have to specify int x int y, just on the it's declared at the time we assign a value to it. Like say x equal to 10, automatically it's an integer.
Yeah, that's an integer. So that is the first interpretation. It is bound to integer type. Yeah, that is the first interpretation. And in that way, you can say that it is related to dynamic typing because you don't explicitly again say that that as an int, right? See, I have kind of said the second interpretation, right? Just put it in correct words and let me know. types can't be concatenated. Somebody said like in C and C++, whether this can be done. Just check that out, right? So that is the idea. Some languages support, some languages are strongly typed, some languages are not strongly typed, right? I'm not sure.
You can't do that in C and C++, sir.
I'm not sure with C and C++ whether it is strongly typed or not. You can check that out. Maybe.
I don't think so, sir.
Okay, JavaScript, I'm sure. In JavaScript is weakly typed or loosely typed.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, see, there is a comment here. It's okay with JavaScript. I've just checked with JavaScript. JavaScript, it is okay. So JavaScript, you say that it is unlike Python. JavaScript, you say it is weakly typed or loosely typed. So that is the difference. So now please tell the correct answer or the formal definition. Can you put it something like this? Can you say that in a strongly typed language, right, types, or rather than saying types, can you say like unrelated types are not implicitly typecasted?
Yes, sir. We can say that, sir.
We can say that, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So apart from your first interpretation, you can say this as well to add to your discussion or argument, right? In a strongly typed language, variables are bound to its types. They cannot be broken, right? And unrelated types like strings and integers, right? You cannot have conversions implied, or you cannot have implicit conversions between them. Unlike weakly typed languages in like JavaScript, wherein you can have such things or cases. All right.
Sir, could you please repeat those 2 points? What do you mean bound to that?
When you say bound to a particular type, it is tied to that particular type. You say I is equal to 10, I is tied to the type or the class 10 always.
And then I can redeclare it, right?
You can redeclare it. Yeah. When you redeclare it, it is bound to another type.
Okay, sir. And what about the second point? We can't concatenate float and string. That's what you are trying to say?
Yeah. I'm trying to put it in a more generic fashion. I'm saying that unrelated types cannot be implicitly typecasted or implicitly converted. There is no implicit conversion, correct?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Say, for example, hello plus 1 cannot be concatenated. So any implicit conversion doesn't happen. If you want to really concatenate hello plus 1, you convert 1 to a string.
So I can't convert 1 to a string directly in such languages.
Come again?
So if I have the number 1, I can't convert it into a string directly in a strongly typed language.
Correct. You cannot do that conversion directly. You do it explicitly either using a constructor or some other method.
Okay, sir.
All right. Now tell me the difference between a strongly typed or say a statically typed language and a dynamically typed language.
So the definition is the difference, first difference. Because in a dynamically typed language, for example, I can assign a variable an integer number, and then later I can redeclare it as a string or something else.
Yeah, that is kind of dynamic, but there is another interpretation for dynamic typing. So declaration and redeclaration part, apart from being dynamic, it is also sometimes called as duck typing. That is okay, fine. So when you try to compare it with a statically typed thing,
sir,
how do you, okay, tell me.
Sir, dynamic understands the value we input.
Yeah, it understands the value you input. So I'm expecting for a particular keyword.
No need to specify the data types during declaration. That's what he's trying to say.
Memory is allocated while execution in dynamically typed, and in static it's allocated while compilation.
Yeah, that is a very, very important and correct point, right? See, dynamic typing, the typing actually happens at runtime during the execution, right? Whereas in statically typed languages, the assignments happen during the compile time. Okay, so let's come back to this file. So we just got it with types and variables. What do you mean by a variable? Define a variable, guys.
It's a container for some sort of
Container
data.
that store values, sir.
It is a container for some sort of data, right? Whether
It can be changed also.
yeah, it can be changed also. Hence the name variable. How do you express a constant? What is a constant in Python?
Or indeed, that cannot be changed, sir.
That cannot be changed. But unlike other programming languages, there is no like keywords for representing constants explicitly, right? You go by the best practice and define a constants generally all in uppercase, right? And then use that as a constant. Although that can be changed, but again, there is no const keyword typically available in Python. Okay, guys. Next, expressions and statements. Yeah, expressions and statements. Apart from I have put this as a feature here in introduction or overview to Python. So apart from overview, expressions and statements are also like it's part of unit 2. So let us understand this a little bit better. So what do you mean by an expression and what do you mean by a statement? So you have the answers here as well, but come up with your own interpretation. What do you mean by an expression? When I say define an expression.
Sir, an expression can be any variables, with the operations on them.
Contains variables and operations.
Like for example, a plus b is an expression.
Okay. Correct. Any other examples? A plus b is an expression. So how do you define an expression? Anybody else?
It has some arithmetic operations.
It has some arithmetic operations. Okay.
It should have, it might have greater than, lesser than, equal to, not equal to. Things in there.
Okay. Now with an example, if I try to define or say, let me define it first and give you some examples. As you can see here in line number 26, expressions are anything that returns a value. So if you have anything in Python, right, that returns a value, they are called as expressions. So let us take some examples. When you say a plus b, right, so it returns a value, right? Something is added up and you get a value. So a plus b is an expression, right? Now say for example, a variable, say a, right? A variable a or x by itself is also an expression, true or false?
Repeat, sir.
Say I have two statements. Okay, say I have a variable a with a value 10, right? Now, can I say a itself is an expression?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's an expression.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, a itself is an expression as well. It returns a value to you. Okay, now when I say x is equal to, say, 20, right? And c equal to a plus x, right? Now, can I say this as an expression, a plus x as an expression?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is an expression because you have some value computed and that particular value is returned or it is now available in C, right? So operations, all the operations are expressions by itself, right? A variable is an expression. Anything that returns a value is an expression, right? A function call is an expression. We just talked in brief about functions, right? In Python, right, all functions returns a value, right? So a function call is an expression. right? We'll talk about lists, tuples, and dictionaries later, right? Think of lists as an array, those who are from C++ background. Bio background and other background students, right, need not worry about what a list is now, right? So even a list is an expression. Okay, so just remember this in mind. Anything that returns a value, right, or any particular instruction or any particular statement, right, that gets evaluated, right, is an expression. Hope things are clear.
List doesn't return a value, right, sir? It can be declared or it can return a value.
Say for example, a list you have, say list or a tuple, say you have 1, 2, 3, 4. That essentially means that, okay, that particular list has a value. That's the idea.
You can manipulate with that. That's
Yeah,
what I type. Okay,
yeah.
sir.
You can manipulate with that. That is the definition of a list. See, even a tuple by itself is a expression. Although you cannot manipulate the items within a tuple, that is also an expression. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So those are expressions. Now, what do you mean by a statement?
Anything that can be given as instructions or execute.
Correct. All instructions are called as statements, right? So all the lines that you write in a Python program, each line, right, in Python program, all are statements, right? So all those particular lines gets executed, right? So the lines that gets executed are all called as statements. Okay, so just a simple question. Can you say comment as a statement? Is comment a statement?
Comment is a statement.
No, sir.
I would not say yes.
No,
is,
sir. You
comment
can't
is-
execute it.
You can't execute it. Okay. Now, if I ask you, is shebang line a statement?
Yes, sir.
Yes, shebang line is a statement, right? Although the notation for a shebang line starts with a hash, it is a statement. Got it? So, can I say something like this? All expressions are statements, but not vice versa?
Yes, sir.
Do you all agree?
So what is the
Yes,
difference
sir.
between statements and expressions? I'm not getting it.
Come again?
What is the difference between statements and expressions? I'm not getting it, sir.
Sir, expression is a part of a statement.
Expression, yes. Expression is a part of a statement, right? So all your expressions are in fact statements, right? Now, when you say all statements are not expressions, can you give an example?
Not true.
The shebang line, sir.
Shebang line is a statement, it's not an expression. Okay.
Yes.
Imports. When you say import math, right? Import is a statement. Import math is not an expression. Correct?
Yes, sir. Getting it.
Yes, sir.
Your if clause, your while clause, your for clause, right? Your function definition, right? That ends with a semicolon, right? All those are statements, yes, but they are not expressions. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now there is one more thing that is still supported, but it is highly discouraged to use, right? Although it is supported, you can just see if it works or not. But when you write programs, do not make use of this particular feature as it is a highly it is not highly recommended, right? This kind of code usage is not highly recommended. That is, you can have multiple statements in one line in Python. That is possible. Okay, but then you will probably ask, like, how is that possible, right? Now that is possible. As I said, like there is no semicolon, but if you want to have multiple statements or instructions in a line, you can separate them with a semicolon. It will work. Clear, guys?
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Can you please give an example?
Sure. So these examples, let me make use of REPL now that all of you know how to actually write any correct Python program. So let me make use of REPL now, so that we save some time as well and understand it better. So as this is where REPL is useful. REPL is useful to understand the features of a language, right? Now say for example, if I say, okay, print, say hello, right? Now see, you can either use single or double quote, right? I sometimes use single and sometimes use double, so that always confuses, right? So try to be consistent. Now if you want to have another statement or instruction in the same line, you can just have a semicolon here, right? And say print something else, right? All right, guys.
Okay, sir. Sir?
Yes?
Sir, there's another thing now, sir. We use \n and / to put in a new line.
Correct.
So can we use that, sir, in this program? Like you type print hello.
No, I just gave an example with print. The concept is you can make use of multiple statements in a single line.
Okay, sir.
It could be x is equal to a plus b colon y equal to 0. You can do this.
There, sir, I'm asking, instead of using semicolons, can we use n/n, a \n?
For print function, are you asking?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for print function, you can make use of /n.
Okay, so for other variables, you can't.
No, your question is, are you talking about print function and you are saying about variables? I am not getting your question.
No, sir. Sorry, sir. Here you use x equal to a plus b semicolon, sir.
Yes.
Instead of that, can we use \n to put that function next? You use y is equal to some expression, no, sir.
Correct.
When you put semicolon here, the first function comes in one line, the second function comes in another line, no, sir.
Correct.
To separate that, you used semicolon.
Correct.
Instead of using semicolon, can we use n/n, \n there?
\n, where in the variable say a plus b \n?
Yes, sir.
No, you cannot do that.
Okay, sir.
You cannot do that, right?
Okay, sir. That's what I asked.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
The point of this particular discussion is you can have instructions in the same line if you want, although that is not considered to be a good practice. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Next, decision making, right? Decision making we have already started with our lab class yesterday, right? So you can make use of if, elif, and if statements. And also, in decision making, you can make use of this conditional statement or assignment. Sometimes it is called as conditional statement or assignment. So what do you mean by that? See, conditional assignment, right, or conditional statement allows you to write a if else within the same line. Okay, say I can say something like this. Say, hello, if true, I can say else not allowed, right? So I can have this, right? So if you just have a if and an else, you can put together in a single line, right? And assign it to a variable, right? Where is this program? Okay. Now this is conditional assignment or conditional statement, sometimes also called as ternary operator. In other programming languages, like in C, C++, you would have used the ternary operator, right?
So that is called conditional.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
We
it
use
is.
ternary
Yeah,
operators.
it is the same thing, right? It is also called as ternary conditional operator, right? But whenever you make use of such a thing in Python, right? When you use if and else, both are to be used, right? You cannot just say if and then probably if you remove this, it's not going to work. Right? So this is invalid syntax.
அந்த இதெல்லாம் டைப் பண்ணும்போது கொஞ்சம் காண்டா இருக்கும் பாத்துக்க சொல்ல வர
Yeah, somebody I think.
ஐயோ அப்ப எவ்வளவு நாள் ஆகும் 10 நாளா
Okay, guys, so far so good.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that is called as conditional statement or conditional assignment. And then in Python we have iteration, right, which is supported. But unlike other programming language, right, maybe Java, C, C++, wherein you would have used your traditional for kind of thing, right, for loop. Even for loop is available in Python, but the usage is kind of different and it is much more simple and readable, right? In traditional programming languages, the idea of using a for loop is with a syntax like for and within parentheses you specify a set of phases, right? You specify the initialization condition, the test condition, right? And then you increment a particular variable, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Sir,
Yes.
sir, can you explain the condition statement once?
Conditions. Yeah, this
please.
conditional statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, conditional statement is a statement that allows you to make use of if else together in a single line.
Sir, in that statement, what was the condition, sir?
The condition is this. Condition is, I am just, for simplicity, I am putting it as true.
What should be true, sir?
What should be true means what? I am specifying that, okay, here it is true means it is like true. This part is true. So I am saying if true. So by default, if there is no specific condition that you have specified, it is going to be true, right?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir, I understand.
Sir, you said it allows both if and else to be used in the same line, but not using if and else in the same line here.
Yeah, were you not in the discussion where I showed the examples along with else earlier?
Sir, I am new to this. I don't understand that. That's why I'm asking again.
Okay, see here, this is your if condition. If this particular condition is true, where in this particular case is true, right? So in this particular case, you specifically say that, okay, it is true. So please execute true. Otherwise, execute this, right? So when you execute this, you say hello, right? And if you explicitly make it as false, it is going to say not hello. And my second thing is, you need to make use of both if and else in a conditional statement. You cannot just say if and then a particular condition, say true or false, whatever, right? Without else. If you do this, it is an error. Okay, it says invalid syntax. Am I clear now?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
So only this is the only example for conditional statement. Huh?
No, what do you mean by this is the only example? You can make use of your own examples. Here you can specify
No,
any condition.
only if and else I'm asking.
Pardon?
If and else in a single line is that's the only conditional statement.
Yeah, you can only use if and else. There is no elif and all that you can use. Only if else. That's all.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, what do you use elif for?
Elif you make use of if a particular condition is not satisfied and then you want to check some other condition, you make use of elif.
Oh, okay, sir.
Elif is else if, no sir, like.
Else if is in other languages. In Python, you make use of elif, elif, put together in a single word.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, do you want to see an example with elif as well?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, before moving on, I just have a doubt in this itself, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, hello if true, else not hello. That statement, sir. What is actually true? Do you get my question? What are you describing as true? What should be true for the output to come as hello? Get my question, sir?
Nothing, no, sir. So
No, this particular statement you're saying explicitly true just to understand things better. That's all. Instead of specifying true here, you can specifically have a particular condition like what you are saying, like what should be true. So you can specify a particular condition here.
Okay. If y less than 6.
If x is greater than y, right? And you can do all these things before this particular C, right? You can specify a particular value and test it. If the particular condition evaluates to true or false, okay. So rather than that particular evaluation, you are explicitly saying that okay.
Telling it is true.
Yeah, you are telling it explicitly that okay, true, and I am putting it here for the purpose of illustration of if else.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Got it, sir.
Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
Fine. I can 1 second. Okay, I can put this as 100. What do you think will be the output now? Now, before we see LF, let us understand this.
Hello.
Okay.
See.
Okay. Please watch these things and then probably come up with your answer. Now, what will happen if I say, what do you think will be the output here?
Hello.
What do you think will be the output here?
Not hello.
Okay, so you understand this. So please tell me like what is happening here. If I say 0.
Not equal to 0 is taking.
Anything other than 0 it will assign as true, sir. That's the answer. Or empty string.
Correct. So now that you have understood this, okay, let us now proceed. All of you are clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Sir, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Sir, so that that line you just wrote, so if there is any expression there, it defaultly assumes it to be true, sir.
No, if that expression, if it gets evaluated to true, that will be true. Otherwise, it will be false.
So then why does say 100 still why is it interpreted as true?
Okay, coming to your particular question, why is 100 interpreted as true, right? So anything that is not 0 are all true in Python with respect to integers.
Oh, if you directly use numbers as such. Okay.
Correct. Okay.
Okay.
And if you use a string, right, anything that is not empty is all true.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay.
Sir,
Yeah.
an example for ellipse, sir.
Yeah, we'll come to that. Do we have time? It's 9:27. After 9:30, do you have some time?
9:45 next class, sir.
9:45 is the next class. Okay, so just let us see an example for elif soon. Okay, so let us try to compare two variables or two integers, right? Whether it is greater than, whether it is less than or equal to. Okay, so let me have two variables, say 10 and 20, right? I can have a if condition, right? Say if x is less than y, what do you want to do, right? So this is your code block, right? So let me say print, right? And let me use a f string and say I have a placeholder, and then I say x is less than y. Okay, for the purpose of time, let me just copy this, right? And then you can have a elif and then specify another condition, say x is, if it is greater than y.
For elif, sir.
Thank you. Elif, you specify x is greater than y. Okay. Otherwise, right, you say x is y. All right. Now, when you run the program, what do you think the answer will be? X is less than y. So 10 is less than 20. Right? Let us make this 20 and let us make this 10. Right? This time, it is 20 is greater than 10. Right? And if you make both the same, you get 20 is equal to 20. Got it? So this is a simple example wherein you can make use of elif. Got the idea?
So one doubt, sir, here.
Yeah.
In the print statement, you used f and in the curly bracket x, no, sir. Like, what is that?
That is the concept of f string. We will understand f strings and the format method later when we talk about strings. Okay, this is a string interpolation method.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, and since you asked this particular question, let me just tell you one more thing. In Python 3 or whenever you write Python 3 programs, it is always encouraged to make use of f strings or the format method, right? And avoid using other deprecated legacy codes like %, comma, and etc. Even if it is supported in Python 3, it will be very soon, it will be removed from your current versions and all. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right, guys. So let us stop our discussion here, right, and continue in the next class.